Hey guys, TannyGamer4K here. Today I wanted to take a look back at some of the largest and unfortunately bloodiest battles of World War I. Could these be potential maps for Battlefield 1? A number of factions fought in this war, so it'll be interesting to see what the available playable factions are, as well as what weapons made the cut, but for now let's take a look back at the history of the Great War. Today we'll be going over the top 5 most deadly, bloodiest battles of World War I. Starting out at number 5, we have the Battle of Somme. This battle took place between July 1st through November 15th of 1916. It was a deadly battle fought between the British Empire, with France as an ally, and the Germans. This battle resulted in the highest number of casualties in the history of the British Empire. The Allies sustained over 600,000 losses, 50,000 of those occurring within the first day of the battle. Sadly, even with these horrific losses, the British and French troops were only able to move the line by a mere 8 miles. The key reason for launching into this battle was to relieve the French under siege in Verdun, and it involved the largest British participation in the war, with over 500,000 deployed troops. But despite their numerical advantage, the Allies failed to dislodge the Germans from their position quickly, as a battle of attrition raged on with little territorial gain. A lance corporal of the German army was wounded during this engagement and was hospitalized for 2 months before rejoining his unit. His name? Adolf Hitler. Moving on to number 4, we have the Third Battle of Ypres. This engagement took place between July 31st and November 10th of 1917. The battle took place between 3 allies, the British Empire, the French, and Belgium, against the German military. This battle was the third encounter with the Germans in Flanders. The goal of this engagement was to force a general retreat of the German army. With the Germans nearing victory over Russia on the Eastern Front, the Allies wanted to push back the Germans before they could reinforce. But the Allies' plan quickly met Murphy's Law when the heaviest rainfall in over 30 years occurred during this very offensive, literally turning the entire battlefield into one big giant mud puddle. The Allies finally reached Passchendaele after 16 weeks of fighting and trudging through the mud. It was all for good reason though. The Allies forced the Germans to fight yet another defensive battle, and with America's entry into the war on the horizon, the Allies now had the upper hand. Number 3, the Battle of Caporetto. This battle took place between October 24th and November 12th of 1917, between the German Allies and the Italians. The combined forces launched a surprise attack at 2 a.m. and completely overwhelmed the Italians. The Italians, already suffering from low morale, went into a full-scale retreat, and those that couldn't escape surrendered without a fight. 265,000 Italian troops were taken prisoner that day. Germany and her allies came very close to closing in on Venice, but they were stopped short due to extended supply lines. Thankfully, the Allied forces swiftly increased their support for Italy and held the Germans. One thing of note from this battle was a young German officer. He received a medal for his exploits in this engagement, capturing 1,500 Italians with the help of just 5 men. Mr. Rommel would become much more famous in the Second World War. Now on to number 2, the Battle of Cambrai. This engagement was fought between the months of November and December of 1917 on the Western Front. With the United States now having entered the war and allied with the British forces, they engaged the Germans with a very disappointing outcome. There is recent controversy around this, however. This was the first battle in modern warfare to combine infantry, artillery, as well as tanks. Tanks have been tried in their earlier battles, but not of this scale. In Cambrai, they were used in mass formations as the British brought along 476 of them across the 6-mile front to attempt to surprise and overwhelm the Germans. At the start of the battle, the British achieved their shock and awe glory. They advanced swiftly with their mobile units, but the Germans quickly recovered from the initial shock and counterattacked. After 2 weeks of fighting, the Germans regained all lost ground by using a tactic called Stormtrooper Assault, which recently showed very good success against the Italians as well as the Russians. Another item to note was this marked the first battle in which the United States made an appearance in World War I. They deployed 3 engineer regiments for construction activities behind British lines during an emergency. And finally, number 1 on our list, the Battle of Amiens. This battle lasted just 5 days, between August 8th and 12th of 1918. It was fought between the British, French, and United States forming the Allies, and Germany. The summer of 1918 really marked the time that Germany began to understand they were losing this war. Numerous activities in the east in the spring had Germany transferring all of their troops westward for a last-ditch effort of pushing the Allies back and getting proper footing for peace talks. By now, though, the Allies have been restocked with fresh troops and supplies from the United States, which allowed the Allies to hold off every single German charge that came their way. On August 8th, the Allies launched a strong counterattack, using 31 combined divisions of British, French, and American troops. They in total advanced 7 miles across the front on the first day alone. This was known as the Black Day of the German Army by von Ludendorff. This also marked the beginning of the 100 Days Offensive that extended until the end of the war. The Allies, as you may know, won this battle, which resulted in mass surrenderings of the German army. It was at this point that the German High Command knew that the war could no longer be won, and thankfully it was all ended on November 11th, 1918. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys are enjoying these little bits of history. I found it very entertaining to learn more about this war, as well as share that knowledge with others. I'm hoping that we see some of these events captured in Battlefield 1, as a lot of them seem like they would be perfect for a full-scale battle. Again, please leave a like if you enjoyed this, and a thumbs down if you didn't. Thanks everyone for the support recently. I really do appreciate it.